Is anyone in the labs right now? Am I still all alone? Right, I'm still alone for now. Hopefully nobody comes. Hi everybody. It's me. It's Steve. Some of you may know me from the Holdback Mountain episode. Others may know me from presenting Best Supporting Actress at the 2021 Andy Awards. But we're gonna do a fun little thing here. Dan showed me his animated tier list, ranked his tier list video for animated films, and I said, that looks fun. Why don't I do one? And I think Connor's gonna do one as well. I'm using the same list that he used, but obviously Dan and I, different people. We've seen different movies. So I'll be curious to see how our two lists overlap or how they don't. Yeah, it's a pretty random, eclectic sort of amount of movies here. You can tell this person's around our age, maybe even a tad younger, just based on it's a lot of modern stuff. There's a lot of weird, there's a lot of Disney classics that are just not in here at all. And at the end of the video, I made a little short list of movies that I thought should be included. It's subjective, but some movies of note that I wanted to shout out, because my favorite animated movie of all time, not in the 99 films to select from. So I'm going to be doing what Dan did. I'm going to be choosing the films I've seen. Like a lot of us, I grew up watching cartoons. I love cartoons. And then, but my appreciation of animation has never fully waned. I obviously watch less now than I used to as a kid. But as a storytelling medium, I have a large appreciation for it. And I think it's really is a massive undertaking. Just the amount of work that has to go into it is insane. And I think some of the greatest films ever made are animated films. And I just have a lot of appreciation for the sort of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it. God, I really hope this episode isn't dull. I was hoping that this would be fun. This preamble's a little... I don't really know which way I want to approach this, because the 99 films to choose from are basically in a random order. And some of these are sequels and stuff, so I don't really know. I'm basically just gonna go in the order that I picked them up from the sort of random pile here. Looking at this now, the other big gap of it is it's a lot of foreign stuff. These are both French, and it's a lot of Ghibli and other Japanese animation. And maybe some of you will agree with me, and maybe some of you won't. Tough titties, I guess. I don't know. First things first, we got Monsters, Inc. One of my earliest memories was seeing Monsters, Inc. in the theater. I started going to movies at a very, very young age, and this came out in 2001, so I was 2 years old, so I have a very distinct memory of seeing this in the theater. I remember when I was really little, I would be in the theater, and you get antsy, and for the most part, a movie could very much hold my attention, but every now and again, what I would like to do, I would like to sort of sit up on my seat, and I would turn around, and I would look at the glass in the projector booth, and I could see a little version of the movie playing in there. And then I'd watch it from that, and I would follow the light and the dust particles onto the light, and then follow the image back to the screen. Very formative experience, and I have a very distinct memory of a little green blob, that being Mike Wazowski. And this is a movie I had on DVD and stuff as a kid. I watched this one a lot. This is one of my, that's the other thing about a lot of these, so many of these tiers, it's for something like animation, especially with a lot of these films I haven't seen since I was younger. A lot of it is going to be just nostalgia. It's a lot of formative memories sort of influencing my overall ranking. This isn't going to be very objective at all. I mean, it was never objective to begin with, but this is the most subjective I will get. The actual quality of the film, while I am considering it, will be more influenced by my personal feelings as well. Monsters, Inc. movie I have a lot of nostalgia for. I do think it's one of the stronger entries in the Pixar canon, especially in those early years. So we're starting out with a banger. We're going way up we're going all the way up to a really, really great boy. I did not come up with these titles. I think Dan slightly modified with the list automatically generated. Yeah, Monsters Inc., Mike and Sully and Boo, they're great friends of mine. I've known them for years. We hang out all the time. Next up, another Pixar. This is probably going to be one of my hottest takes of the night. Brave. Not so good boy. Not a fan of Brave. Not at all. Part of it is just I had a similar experience with Soul recently, to a lesser extent. I just found the marketing to be incredibly misleading, and I found the final film to be not super engaging. But let's be honest. If you had a chance to change your fate, would you? Cloudy with a Chance of Meatball, the first Lord and Miller feature. I like it. It's a good boy. I have not seen this since middle school. So I would need to where it would actually lie. Because I could see this actually being a really, really great boy, and I just don't remember it that well. But for now, good. Like, I see this poster, I have a warm feeling inside, and I know there's some good jokes in there. Monsters and Aliens. Saw it once as a kid. Thought it was fun. It's average. I like Seth Rogen as Bob. I think that's what he's called. Fun concept. Just a little watered down, your standard sort of, yeah, that's a DreamWorks, I think. Rise of the Guardians. This is another DreamWorks, I think. I could be wrong. I hate the thing where, a lot of people just assume if it's not Disney, it's automatically DreamWorks. Like, I hear a lot of people calling the Minions movies DreamWorks, which they're not. They're Illumination. But I'm pretty sure Rise of the Guardians is. I think that just is a DreamWorks movie. I saw that for the first time about a year and a half ago. It's one I've been interested in. I think it's co-directed by Peter Ramsey, right? One of the co-directors of Spider-Verse. It was fun enough. The concept is, it's all right. Not my favorite. Some good performances. I really like the character Sandman. I think his design's fun. I think he's cute. I like him. It's an average. Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, this is a movie I grew up with. I have a very distinct memory of watching this for the first time when I was like 7 or 8 years old. Made an impression. I love stop motion. There was a thing going around recently where someone was like, Nightmare Before Christmas is the first stop motion feature, which it's not. There was that, whatever guy who did the California Raisin commercials. He did like The Adventures of Mark Twain or something like that. That's the first feature length stop motion. Stop motion, like, any form of animation is a massive undertaking, whether it's hand-drawn, computer generation, but stop motion in particular, Jesus Christ, the amount of carpal tunnel that must come from making a stop motion feature. Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas is a movie I like quite a bit. I watch it probably every 3 years or so, around Christmas time. I think it's a Christmas movie. There are people who will debate that it's a Halloween movie. I utterly disagree. Halloween's in like the first 12 minutes, and then from that point forward, it's all Christmas. I think it's a Christmas movie. So like every 3 Christmases or so, I watch it. That's a good boy though. I watch it, I have a fun time, and then I don't really think about it again until a couple years roll around. I'm like, oh, it's time to watch Nightmare Before Christmas again. The songs, of course, wall-to-wall bangers. Don't really need to say much about it. It's arguably my favorite Pixar. It's been a few years since I watched it all the way through. There's a few in the Pixar canon that I need to revisit, just because it's been years and I kind of need a refresher in terms of how I feel currently. But yeah, just number one with a bullet. I got the 4K recently, and I'm like, I'm just gonna watch up to the house flying away, and then I ended up watching like another 20 minutes after that. That movie just instantly sucks me in. I do not have the problems with the third act that other people do. I like the villain. I like all the stuff with the Zeppelin and the dogs. I just think that movie's pretty damn perfect. Pocahontas. The last time I watched this was in middle school. Unfortunately, in history class. In defense of my teacher, we watched it, and then she's like, here's everything they got wrong. So it was actually like a nice sort of like that history teacher would actually show a lot of Hollywood movies, and she would like make an effort to like being like, you know, liberties are made for the sake of storytelling. This is what actually happened. Pocahontas is like pretty problematic in terms of its portrayal and like where its place in our real American history is. I think the animation's gorgeous though. Colors of the Wind I think is a great song. So I'm gonna put it in good. Morally, it probably should be terrible, but I think it's a pretty solid movie. I'll put it in the way like, one day if I have children, and I intend to at some point in my life, Pocahontas will not be one that I probably show them, but I wouldn't want to like wipe it from existence. The Little Mermaid. It's good. I watched it a couple times as a kid. The songs are good. I love Howard Ashman and Alan Menken. It's got some really good sequences. I think Ursula is one of the great villains, arguably of all time, not just Disney. I think that the conception of that character and the performance, I'm forgetting the actress, but and the character animation, Ursula just kind of rips. Scuttle is also a great friend. Yeah, Lego Movie. Just really shouldn't be as good as it is. It's just, it fucking rips. I like that, I mean, it's essentially a 100-minute toy commercial, and it like dissects what that even means, and yeah, it's just really fucking solid. It just shouldn't be as good as it is. Beauty and the Beast. I'm gonna put it in good. I was debating of putting it up here, because like, put it this way, I don't own many Disney movies on Blu-ray, and that's because Disney has like the Disney tax, where I like deals, and Disney movies almost never get discounted because it's Disney, and they know that families will pay a premium for Disney. You know, Beauty and the Beast was one of the ones that I shelled out money for, because I do like it quite a bit. But overall, I think it's just solid. It's a very pretty Blu-ray. I don't regret my purchase at all. It's also just like, the first show I ever saw on Broadway was Beauty and the Beast, so I have like nostalgia for that. It's more extended. The movie's really short, so they add a couple songs and things like that. But no, the Beauty and the Beast, I like it. Mulan, really really good. I fucking love Mulan. She's the best. Yeah, I like this movie every time I watch it. Cinderella. I'm gonna put it in good. I like Cinderella. I mean, I feel like Cinderella, unfortunately, is like the epitome of like every complaint that you can have about a Disney princess, just in terms of like societal messaging, things like that. What does it teach young girls? I think the animation's really good. I think of that 50s era. It's like a high watermark for the real old school, back when Walt was still around, Disney animation. Yeah. I had a weird phase as a kid where I was just really into Cinderella. I really liked this Disney movie. I had a book version of Cinderella that I had my parents read me to bed a lot. I think there was probably just something about the idea of like a fairy godmother that I found really enchanting. Ponyo. I saw this for the first time just a couple months ago because I'm trying to fill in my Miyazaki gaps. And I'm like, my entire life since Ponyo came out, I'm like, Ponyo this, Ponyo that. You know, I never gave Ponyo much thought. And finally, I'm like working my way through the Miyazakis, and I'm about halfway through, and I'm like, I should do Ponyo. Ponyo's sort of like a fun one. There's some bigger, sort of like more bummer ones, like a Wind Rises, that I need to get to. So I should throw on a fun one now. Also, it's like really short. And boop, Ponyo's my best friend. She does magic. She loves ham. I watched the dub, and hearing Liam Neeson go, Ponyo, is just, that's a serotonin rush right there. No, Ponyo rips. It looks gorgeous. Everyone has so much personality. Her, I think Sasuke is a little boy. Sosuke. I'm forgetting, it's been a couple months, but he's great. He's got a lot of spunk. He's got awesome bossy mom who's telling his dad to bug off. No, it's just the movie looks gorgeous. I think it's so much fun. I think it's such a unique twist on the Little Mermaid sort of formula. I love it. I think it has so much character. I really love it. Finding Nemo. Boop. Childhood favorite. I think the animation is gorgeous. I think the colors, they just pop. This is another Disney movie I actually own on Blu-ray, but this one was on discount. I found it weirdly for like $10 at Target one time. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll get Finding Nemo. Yeah, childhood favorite, had it on DVD. I love My Friend Who Loves Bubbles. Willem Dafoe is a Willem Dafoe in this. It's just, it checks a lot of boxes for me. Kung Fu Panda. Saw it in theaters, had a good time. Had it on DVD, watched it a couple times in middle school. I like Jack Black. I like James Hong. Sleeping Beauty. As a story, threadbare, paper thin. As a visual feast, Jesus Christ. Sleeping Beauty rips. It's another one I own on Blu-ray. Bolt. Saw it in theaters. Had fun. Haven't thought about it since. Fantasia 2000. It's good. I watched it in middle school. My chorus teacher showed that to us. She also showed us Pocahontas because we sang Colors of the Wind in one of our choir concerts. Fantasia 2000, it's pretty good. This got a lot of shit when it came out. Like, people don't really like this movie, and I think it's solid. It's not the original Fantasia, nothing is. But I think this has some really good sequences. Whatever that nature one is with, like, the tree lady, that's really good. I love the Rhapsody in Blue segment. This was my introduction to Rhapsody in Blue, and it's, like, one of my favorite compositions ever now. It's not like I'm a huge classical... I have a hard time saying classical because it came out in the 20th century, but, like... It's not like I'm a big, like, instrumental music person, but I love Rhapsody in Blue. No, when that fucking oboe hits, and or maybe it's a clarinet, that high note in the beginning, ugh, that's an endorphin rush right there. Shrek the Third. I really don't remember this. I've seen it once. I'm gonna put it in not so good, because I think the fact that I've only seen it once probably speaks to what I thought of it at the time. We'll get to the other Shreks when we get to them. WALL-E. Really, really, really good. Great movie. It's been a few years since I've seen it. I prefer the first half to the second half, the way that a lot of people do. I still think the second half is really solid, though. I still think it's a very good movie. I don't know, people say that about the opening scene of Up as well, where it's like, it's a great short film and then an okay movie. I think Up is great all the way through. I think the first half of WALL-E is great, and the second half's still really good. I think its sort of social commentary is a bit blunt, but I still think it's, it's there. And I still think it's solid. WALL-E's a great friend. He likes his little cockroach. He loves Hello Dolly, as do I. Theater fan after my own heart. Lion King. It's good. I had the VHS as a kid. I watched it enough. I don't think it holds up particularly well. The Circle of Life sequence, which I rewatched on a plane like 2 years, year and a half ago. It was actually the plane to Dublin when I went to study abroad in Dublin. I put on this, they had like options, and they had a bunch of Disney movies, and I'm like, I haven't watched Lion King since I was a kid, I'm gonna rewatch it. And I rewatched The Circle of Life, I started it in the beginning of Circle of Life, I literally had goosebumps. I'm like, wow, yeah, this sequence really holds up. And the movie kept playing, and it just wasn't that great. Lion King's, it's solid. B movie. This is gonna be one of my hottest takes of the night. I like it. Not ironically at all. I think it's solid. I think it's weird. I think it's a very weird movie. I kind of understand how it became a meme, but I just, of the DreamWorks stuff, is it like totally like a shill sort of commercial thing? Yeah. Do I still find it to be very entertaining? Yeah. I think the movie's gonzo as hell. I think it's wild. I'm pro B movie. Come and fight me. Tarzan. It's good. as an adaptation of like the Tarzan mythology, I don't know. I think it's underrated. I think the animation is gorgeous. I think there's some really interesting sequences. I think the Phil Collins soundtrack just rips. It's wall-to-wall ballers. Fantasia. It's good. It's Fantasia. I don't know. It's Fantasia. Toy Story. This one's tough. I'm gonna put in the really, really, really great boys. Just because we're gonna have a lot of Toy Story representation on this list. Had this on VHS as a kid. Obviously loved it. It was one of my brother's favorites as well. Seen it a million times. I remember when 3 was coming out in theaters. They did a double feature. They really re-released both 1 and 2. My mom took me to see that. That was a very fun experience. Very fond memories of that. Yeah, interesting. We have these 2 back-to-back, so I'm going to have a little bit of a Shrek corner here. Shrek, had it on VHS, saw it a million times. I remember when we would go on road trips, we had this little TV that had a VHS player built into it, and my dad would strap it into the car, like on the divider, like the console, the middle console, and he would strap it like onto that, and then around the 2 seats, the driver and the passenger, and then me and my brother would be in the back seat, and we'd be watching this. If we had gotten into an accident, like that would have like flung out and like gone out the reverse. Someone could have gotten very hurt. It was the Wild West in the early 2000s. But my dad always like jokingly complains. He's like, I listened to Shrek 8 times before I ever saw it. So I don't think I saw the first Shrek in theaters, but I know like that VHS was on constant rotation. I think it hasn't aged particularly well. I do think it's still solid, like from a storytelling standpoint. I think everything works. I think the emotional beats work. A lot of the humor hasn't aged well. But I'll defend Shrek as a good movie. Wild. It's insane. Like it's really kind of wild that Shrek was the thing that just like tapped into the culture for like 5 years. But I don't know. Now, here's the thing. I think Shrek is good, but I do think it's the ultimate epitome that, like, from a cultural standpoint, the early 2000s were a mistake. Shrek 2. I'm going to put it in average. I have not seen it in a long, long time. There's a lot of people who say Shrek 2 is the best Shrek. Shrek 2 is actually very good. I'm only going on nostalgia here. I do have fond memories of Shrek 2. I had it on DVD. I watched it a lot. I really don't remember much from it. The Puss in Boots stuff, I think, is the stuff that would probably hold up best for me. I love Antonio Banderas. Incredibles. I'm going to put it in really, really good. It's been a number of years since I've watched this. But, yeah, I really can't think of, like, anything, any qualms I have with it. Had this on DVD, watched it a bunch. I love Brad Bird. I'll be talking more about Brad Bird as we go down. Alice in Wonderland. It's good. I don't like the Lewis Carroll story of Alice in Wonderland. I don't like Lewis Carroll's writing in particular very much. And most adaptations or riffs on Alice in Wonderland I find mostly to be annoying. But I think this is fun. It's pleasant enough. It's palatable. It's very colorful. Actually, I do have this on DVD because weirdly, like, Disney definitely has a tier system in terms of how they value their movies, and Alice in Wonderland is definitely on that B tier. So it's one of the few Blu-ray releases they will actually make very affordable. Like, I got this for $10, and that was just the regular price. It's not like it was on discount. You know, they like your like Little Mermaids, your Beauty and the Beast, your Cinderellas. Your Pixar titles, like those they keep at a premium, and there's other ones like Robin Hood and I don't know, The Rescuers, like they definitely let the price drop a bit, and Alice in Wonderland is one of them. So I own this, and you know, I've watched it since I've owned it, and I'll pop it in every now and again, just certain scenes, just when I want like a lot of color. Yeah, it's fun. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This one's fucking hard. God, between really, really great and perfect. I'm gonna go perfect. there's nothing that I really need to say that hasn't already been said about Spider-Verse. I'm just, here's the thing. I don't want to get to the point where this movie is like overhyped, but it's really fucking good. I don't know what to say. Cars. It's fine. My Neighbor Totoro. Rips. I love My Neighbor Totoro. Honest take of the night. I don't get it. I don't get why people love this movie. I think it's fine. It is towards the lower of the Miyazakis for me. This is another one that is like in the sort of childhood rung, and I don't like it as much as the other two. Here's the thing. I would say it's probably just a cultural difference. Like there's just probably something within Japanese culture and sort of like the spirituality of that like is disconnect from like where I'm coming from. I don't know. Tangled. Boom. It's got some fun moments. I like Flynn Rider. I like the horse. I like Pascal. I think the ending's dumb. I have a very similar problem that I do with Frozen. And let me just find Frozen and put it there. I don't like how these movies use magic. And I don't. Here's the thing. Everyone watching this has probably seen Tangled and Frozen, if not spoilers. They both end with a character almost dying, and then the magical character using their magic to bring them back to life. And it's both in ways that they have not established that magic is used earlier in the movie. The magic comes out of nowhere, and they don't, and Disney just like, we can't kill someone, we can't have it have consequence. They both have the same fake out death, and it drives me up a wall. Frozen, at the very least, has very good songs, and I do like Elsa a lot. Tangled, I did not see this in the theaters. It's not one that I have nostalgia for at all. I saw it in high school. I thought it was fun, but like, utterly skippable. I think it's pretty. I think the animation's nice. Princess Mononoke. Good. No, really good. I'm gonna put in the really good. The action sequences are really impressive. Narratively, I think it's a little dense. But yeah, Princess Mononoke it's a very good movie. I need to get this Blu-ray eventually. Coraline. I have only seen it once on DVD when it came out. Thought it was good. I need to revisit it. I openly admit I need to revisit it. I will probably like it even more the next time I watch it. I have not gone back to it. But when I was 10, I thought it was creepy, thought it was cool. The animation is, of course, gorgeous. It's the first true Leica movie. Leica worked on The Corpse Bride, but this is the first Leica production. It's a Henry Selick movie. I'm a fan of Henry Selick. How to Train Your Dragon. It's good. The character designs have not held up at all. They're weirdly kind of horrifying. The dragons look great, and the backgrounds look solid. Lilo and Stitch. A lot of this is probably nostalgia for me. I did rewatch this about 2 years ago, and I thought it really held up. I think the animation's gorgeous. This was a childhood. I watched this movie on loop as a little kid. Had it on DVD. Don't know if I saw it in theaters. I don't think I did. The Lilo and Stitch itself, like, is kind of etched into my memory from watching it a million times, but also the promos, the teasers for Lilo and Stitch it would be scenes from films in the Disney canon, like Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast and stuff, and the scene would play out, and then Stitch would just appear and then cause havoc. I think it's a brilliant piece of marketing. I love Lilo and Stitch. I think John M. Chu's doing the remake, right? Which if I'm remembering correctly, and it is him, that is kind of promising to me. I think he's a very interesting director, and I'm very excited to see what he does with it. I think the key to it is that, I mean, this is going to sound obvious, but you need to find the Lilo. If you can't find the right person to play Lilo, the whole movie's going to fall apart. And I think it depends how the animation of all the alien characters, particularly Stitch, is. But, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic. But yeah, I have a lot of nostalgia for Lilo and Stitch, and I do think it holds up. I think it's a very good movie. Aladdin. I'm going to put it in good, which hurts me a bit. I have a lot of nostalgia for Aladdin. This was one of my favorites as a kid. I remember getting that clamshell VHS for Christmas one year, and I remember like instantly running down to the basement to put it in and watching it on Christmas morning. I think from a production standpoint, I think it's incredible. Obviously, the genie is like one of the all-time great achievements. I think the characters are great. I think it's just like being older, the cultural stereotypes within it hurts it a little bit for me. I think the sort of problematic nature of the movie does hinder it for me. With like, if you look at the way that like the guards are designed and the character that Robin Williams plays at the beginning who sings Arabian Nights, there's something about it that just kind of like skeeves me out. But from like a technical standpoint and an animation standpoint, I think it's one of their crowning achievements. And it's the last thing that Howard Ashman worked on. It was a huge passion project for him, and I think Tim Rice did a very good job filling in the gaps, both the songs that Ashman didn't get to finish, and also writing new songs that fit with his sort of lyrical style. Big Hero 6. It's good. I saw it on a date in high school. I had fun. Coco. Actually, Coco's good. I like Coco. Despicable Me 2, average. My most controversial stance of the night, I'm pro Minion. I like the Minions a lot. Which a lot of people I know find to be baffling. Incredibles 2, it's good. Saw it once in the theater. When it was on Netflix, I would rewatch scenes. I think it's solid. It's towards the bottom of my Brad Bird rankings. How to Train Your Dragon 2, really, really, really good. It was a movie that I wanted to see in theaters and I didn't. With a lot of movies from this era, it's just sort of like late middle school, early high school. I could, like, if I couldn't convince a person to go to the movies with me, I just didn't see that movie in theaters because I didn't have access to a car and like this and the other thing. And I didn't start seeing movies by myself until literally just after I graduated high school. And I wasn't gonna go by myself to see How to Train Your Dragon 2. But I was watching it in lead up to 3 because the girl I was dating at the time loved these two movies, and we were gonna see 3 for her birthday. And I fell. Here's the thing: I had heard amazing things about 2. 2 had this incredible word of mouth, and I'm like, I should get to 2 eventually, and I just never did. And 3 was coming out, and I watched 2, and everyone's correct. That movie rocks. There's nothing left to say. Toy Story 2. Boom. Had it on DVD as a kid. Watched it a million times. I think it's just that movie's just solid, wall to wall. It's like pretty flawless. It's kind of wild. Inside Out. Really, really good. I like Inside Out quite a bit. It's good soul. That's all I'm gonna say. I think I don't know. I think it's just. I mean, it's the common sort of like thing people throw at Disney. It was like, what if blank had feelings? To the point where this is just what if feelings had feelings. I think they're playing with some very interesting philosophical concepts. Isle of Dogs. It is good. I need to rewatch it. I have not seen it since the theater. The way it handles Japanese culture is interesting. I know people who have very legitimate criticisms. I would need to revisit it and also do some extracurricular reading on that, some academic reading on that, before I commented on it. But I do think it's solid. In terms of where it falls for me in terms of the Wes Anderson like overall canon, I would need to do some pondering on, but I like it. Paranorman rips. That movie's just like made for me. It's dealing with a lot of stuff I like. It's dealing with old 50s and 60s schlock, ghost stories, zombies. I really like Leica. I saw it in theaters. I loved it. I've seen it since. Still really like it. Kubo. It's good. Good was good. The Lorax. Not so good. Peter Pan. Peter Pan, I'm going to put in good. This is a childhood favorite. This is a Disney movie I watched a lot. I love it. As a kid, I really liked the story of Peter Pan in general, this being one of my main touch-tos. I also had a VHS of the Catherine Rigby Broadway production. I watched that a lot as a kid. But yeah, Peter Pan, this would be in really, really good if it weren't for what makes the red man red. I've been talking about a lot how as I've gotten older, the sort of problematic nature of representations of different cultures has made me uncomfortable, which sort of makes me drop some of my opinions of some of these. But what makes the red man red is just outright racist. It's like a deeply hateful song. And it's just, yeah, it's going to kick it down a few points inherently. Yeah. Speaking of portrayals of indigenous peoples in Disney movies, Moana, make way up to the perfect boys. I did not see Moana in theaters. I wanted to, never got around to it for reasons I mentioned before with other movies. But I saw it also on the plane ride to Dublin when I was done with Lion King. I was like, maybe I should finally watch Moana. And I cried so hard. The songs are so good. The animation's impeccable. I think it helped that, like, making your own path in the world and leaving home, and I was literally on the plane ride to a different country where I was going to live for the next few months. It was definitely, I saw it at the exact right time, but I adore Moana. Ice Age. It's good. I watched it as a kid a lot. I had it on DVD. I like Scrat. He's a great friend. He really wants that acorn. I haven't seen it since middle school. Weirdly, like for spring break or something, or like the last week of school, my science teacher just threw it on. And I thought it held up pretty well. This will also be one of my more controversial opinions of the night. Toy Story 3 is good. It's the worst Toy Story. Despicable Me, good. Pro Minion, Zootopia, good. I saw it once in theaters, haven't really thought about it since, but, you know, I liked it. Ratatouille. Guys, anybody can cook. Yeah, I think this speaks to the caliber of Brad Bird as a director, that this is the one movie that he did not develop from the ground up. That he came in after they fired the original guy. And, you know, he took some of the guy's original ideas and he took some of his own stuff, and it like, considering how tumultuous that production is, the movie should not be as solid as it is, but it's very, very, very solid. Yeah, I love Ratatouille. Toy Story 4. It rips. I cried so much. I could not stop crying for the last 20 minutes. Here's the thing, people complain, I was like, Toy Story 4 didn't need to be made, and I agree. Like, the way Toy Story 3 ends, it puts a nice bow on things, it closes out. I think that Toy Story 4 is dealing with much more interesting thematic stuff, and I think it really justifies its existence in a very unique way, and I found it to be, for me, the most emotionally moving of all of them. Of a series of very emotionally moving films that I hold very dear. And I think Toy Story 4 is an even more poignant send-off. Toy Story 3 is cleaner. It's a tighter ending. It's maybe quote-unquote the right ending. Toy Story 4 resonates much more for me. Kiki. It's not letting me drop it, but it's good. I like Gigi. Gigi's a great friend. Yeah. Howl's Moving Castle. Average. My least favorite Miyazaki out of all the ones I've seen. Calcifer. Amazing. Little Wizard Boy. Great. The rest of it, I just do not connect with that story at all. I've mentioned I don't really like magic, especially when it's not particularly well defined, the rules of it. I really don't like how I think the designs are kind of ugly. Yeah. And Lego Batman is in really, really, really good. It would be perfect with the Lego movie. It's just like, you have the DC roster of villains. You don't need to bring in Voldemort and Daleks and all the other sort of bad guys that they do at the end, like Mordor. You don't need to do it. I know you can because you're Warner Brothers and you have the Lego license, which has all these other licenses, but like not just Batman villains, but the DC roster of villains in general. You can have a bunch of those and just like keep it within the universe. Save for all the other multimedia stuff for the regular Lego movie. Because that's the beautiful thing about the regular Lego movie. It's this open sandbox that you can do all sorts of different properties in. And then for the Lego Batman movie, stick with just DC. I think thematically it's working with some really interesting stuff, though. Considering kind of how rushed it was, like, it should not be as good as it is. Like, Lego movie already shouldn't be good in title at all. And the fact that it's as good as it is baffling. And then the Lego Batman movie's even more so. I probably even prefer Lego Batman movie, but, like, I just do feel like bring in Voldemort and stuff. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. And that's my list. Or is it? I did all the rankings of everything that's in here, but there were a bunch of movies that I still want to talk about, or at least give mention to. So I'm going to very, 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 very briefly. But yeah, here's my tier ranking of things that I think should also be in here. The Iron Giant, my favorite animated movie of all time, not on this tier list, could not mention it. I love the Wallace and Gromit shorts, minus A Matter for Life and Death, that's very, very average. Duck and Muck, changed my life. I'm a huge fan of classic Looney Tunes, Chuck Jones in particular, but this is the one I'm going to shout out just because, it taught me what meta was, and Coda, which is an Irish short film from the past couple years, is incredible. Really, really good. Ghost in the Shell. Teacher's Pet, the movie of Teacher's Pet, which was a TV show on Disney Channel. I saw it once as a kid and remember liking it and then not thinking about it, and I rediscovered it on Disney Plus recently. That's a winner. Should be paid attention to. I forgot that Peter Pan actually was on the list. Snow White is Snow White. Again, every complaint that you can give about a Disney princess 10 times applies to Snow White, but I think as a production and as an achievement, it's incredible. And the dwarves are great. Persepolis, Bambi, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Emperor's New Groove, Hunchback. These, a lot of nostalgia for them, but I've rewatched them and I do think they hold up well. Hunchback is kind of my favorite of the Renaissance. The Adventures of Tintin, which is motion capture, but I think it's great. Good Dinosaur is good. I am tired of hearing Good Dinosaur slander. Good Dinosaur rips. Loving Vincent is an insane achievement, and I think the story's really good as well, and the acting's good. Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Were-Rabbit, good. The Simpsons movie, a Goofy movie. I love a Goofy movie. That's comfort food to me. Land Before Time, I Lost My Body, which is on Netflix. It's a French film. And Minions. I love Minions. And that's it. That's the list. That's everything. That's all she wrote. Yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. And Dan, thanks for letting me do this. I had a lot of fun. I hope you have fun editing this. And I just wanna, Dan, I'm gonna let you decide whether you want me to seem smarter than I am or dumber than I am. I'm gonna let you have that power. I never really get to talk about animation. I liked talking about animated movies, even if I didn't go super in depth with any of them. And I didn't even really get technical. I just sort of sort of an overview. But I'm curious to see. I feel like most of my opinions are pretty basic. I only have a couple what I would consider to be hot takes. But still, it's the thought that counts. But yeah, thanks for having me, Dan and Connor. Thanks for letting me invade the channel for a bit. And until next time, that's all, folks.